Hi, welcome to another video from the CarPro Cquartz Garage. Today I'm going to be talking about Cquartz ceramic coating again, but more importantly the application to vinyl wraps, whether this be gloss, matte or satin. Today I've got two test samples in matte black, so for all the cars out there with the matte wraps, this will show you about the Cquartz today. I've got two test samples, one we're not going to coat and one we're going to coat. So I'm going to spin the camera down so you can actually see the Cquartz working in the application, and I'll talk to you about the processes prior to the application and then how we go through from there. So I'm just going to turn the camera around. I'll just turn this round for you, and there you can see the two test samples. This is just a matte wrap, matte vinyl, and it's applied over two pieces of MDF. This one here we're going to leave untreated, and this one we're going to treat. Both panels have been wiped down. I don't know if you can see that. That's it. This is the CarPro eraser, and all this does is just remove any oils, polishes, and it just gives it a nice clean so we can bond the Cquartz to it directly. The Cquartz needs to be applied in conditions 10 degrees and above. I'll just check this again. And it's, as you can see, it's 12.5 degrees in the garage today, so it's plenty warm enough to apply that. As I've said before, in the pack you get the Cquartz coating, you get a suede towel to remove the application block and the application suede towel. As I said, this is the one we're going to treat, and this is the one we're going to leave untreated. When I apply this Cquartz, you'll see that this slightly darkens, and this is the same as when you're applying the ceramic coatings to any finish, whether it's a wrap or the paint on the car. It will slightly darken, but you'll see that. So they've both been cleaned, and now we're going to go straight for the application. Normally you would apply 3 drops of your Cquartz, and you would do about just over a square foot at a time, and then a wipe off. So I'm going to try and do this without applying too much product. And as in previous videos, spread the product out. Just going to move that one out of the way. And you cross hatch it to make sure you get a nice covering, and you spread the product out so it's as thin as possible over the just go across again, and that is just about covered. So put that down, put the lid back on, and then we're ready to buff off. This just removes any excess that's on the vinyl. The difference between applying this to the vinyl or to paint, the vinyl does tend to absorb it quicker, so there is less residue to wipe off. Put the lid back on that. Well, that's coated now, and I don't know if you can see the difference in shades there. I don't know if you can see that. As you can see, that is a slightly darker shade on that. Now that's applied, I have to leave that an hour, and then I'm going to come back and apply a second coat. After the second coat, I'm going to leave it 24 hours, and then we'll come back into the garage and I'll show you the finished articles, and we'll go through, I'll put some water on it so you can see how it's beading. So we'll come back in an hour and we'll apply that second coat. Right, welcome back. It's been an hour now. This is perfectly dry. So we're now going to go for the second application of the Cquartz, and then obviously we have to leave it 24 hours for it to cure. Just check the temperature again. It should be okay. Well, it's tropical now in here. It's 15.6 degrees in here. It's past working temperature. Yet again, we've got the applicator and the applicator cloth to remove, and we're going to apply the second coat in the usual fashion, up and down, and then cross hatch, then finish off up and down, remove straight away, and then leave 24 hours. Just apply a few drops to that, put the lid on this time. make sure it's spread out evenly. And cross hatch it. Should have really tried to stick this down onto the workbench, but it's doing okay. Just going to go across again, just make sure I've got a nice even coverage of this coating. And this coating, semi-permanent coating, lasts up to 24 months, and that's ready to remove and buff. And I can see that it is a slightly different shade to the one next to it. I hope the camera picks it up. It is not, you do notice it, but only notice it when it's against another panel. Right, and that's that. That's the second coating. Let's see if you can pick up the different shades. I don't know if you can see that. See if it works with my light. I don't know if you can see. Now we're going to leave this for 24 hours. We'll come back, I'll do some water tests with it, and then you can see the final finish of the Cquartz. So it'll be back tomorrow. Welcome back to day 2 of the Cquartz Ceramic demonstration on the 2 vinyl wrap samples. Just to recap yesterday, 2 samples, one I treated, one I didn't treat. The one I treated was treated with 2 coats of the Cquartz UK ceramic coating. I'm now going to move the camera around a bit so you can get better shots and a better look at the differences between the 2. Here we have the 2 samples. The one on the left is untreated, the one on the right has been treated. As you can see, there is a slight difference in shade. The one on the right is slightly darker. I just hope that the camera can pick that up and try and move around. What you will see is there is slightly more uniformity to the shading and the colouring on the one on the right, but you'd expect this with any coating, whether it be a wax, a sealant, or obviously the Cquartz. And I'm going to put you down so you can get a better look. Just put some water on it and show you what's happening with that. Firstly, I'm going to just put some little drops of water, and then hopefully the camera can pick up the different shapes of bead and obviously the hydrophobic properties of the one with and the one without. Just got a syringe. Hopefully the camera picks it up. But you can see there are flat, ununiformed droplets of water on there, which means that it's not holding the water tension. Now come on to the Cquartz one, and you can see a lot more uniformity. The beads are staying all the same shape, which shows it does have a layer of protection on it. Try and move that back, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. You see here, they're nice flat, they're nice rounded domes, and here they're ununiform and they're not so round. Let's see if we can do that. It still runs off, but you can see the speed that it runs off. And then the Cquartz, almost dry. Right, just going to do one last thing. We'll put it under the tap, and you can see it running off from there. Right, first of all, the one without. Hopefully you can see that. The way the water behaves on top of that coating. Actually, this is the one without the coating, so you can see how it performs without the coating. Then I'll go to the next one. Now this is the one that we've had coated. And you can see how the water behaves on that vinyl wrap. And that is very impressive. Look at that. I do hope the camera's picking that up. Sit on there and it's gone. Right, just put you back on the stand. Well, that's all for today. That's the the final part of the 2-day demonstration on the ceramic coating on a matte black vinyl wrap. The Cquartz was applied, and as you can see, it's not changed the colour and it's not changed the finish. The matte black wrap has stayed a matte black wrap. What it has done is given a little bit more uniformity to the wrap, but that could be down to these just being 2 bits of old vinyl that were put onto the MDF. But what you have got is a semi-permanent up to 24-month layer of protection on your matte vinyl wrap, your satin vinyl wrap or your gloss vinyl wraps. So that's it for another video. Thank you for watching and tune in for the next one. See ya.